Sup, my name is Ryu for the Yugioh Council. Welcome to the top 5 decks of the April 2015, May 2015 ban list season. I like to put it that way. Now, if you don't agree with my top 5, tell me why in the comments below, but make sure to leave the top 5 decks of your choice down in the comments below. I wanted to do top 10, hence why this video took so long to get out, and I meant to have it out last month. Main reason was I just don't see 10 decks really having that potential to take those spots. I think everything else is kind of up in the air between Yosenju and Cleaforts and Ritual Beast, but there's not enough there to really say that those 5 decks, anything afterwards were really out there enough or played enough by the people entering tournaments. So I think these 5 are honestly the 5 that, and obviously we're starting with Volcanics here, are the 5 that stand out the most. And Volcanics is definitely the number 5 spot for me, mainly due to being able to take care of any threats on the board, not really having an issue with it at all, and being able to remove it. Now, in the case of Shaddolls, obviously that's going to be a harder matchup for them than typically anything else that they normally would have access, they would do to get over other decks. But in Shaddolls' case, drop the window, and it's a little bit of a pain in the ass for the deck to get over because the deck can't drop rank 4s that easily. It's going to have to count on its back row to just take out the window. So that may not be the easiest thing. And again, you may disagree, but that's perfectly fine. Feel free to, and we'll discuss it. So my whole standpoint is with Volcanics, they're great, but not good enough to be anywhere higher than number 5 spot on my list because they're a good deck. Let's be honest, they're a good deck. They lost 2 Vanity's Emptiness from this current ban list, and that does hurt them in their metagame status. That does make it harder for them to compete. They don't have the greatest matchups against everything else on this list, especially being Shaddolls being one of them. I thought that was pretty obvious. To be fair, though, a lot of these things can be dealt with by side decking and not having an issue with it anymore and taking care of it 1, 2, 3, but we can make those arguments all day long. With that said, let's move on to the number 4 spot. My number 4 spot is going to go to Heroes, mainly because of the fact that Heroes have a great matchup against pretty much everything else on this list. This is one deck that I definitely understand. I do count them as meta, even though some people will say, no, they're not really meta. They kind of are. They poop on a lot of things, and they have great matchups across the board. When you can drop a Dark Law and your opponent really doesn't have an answer to it, where you can go to Anki, end the game quickly, OTK status, jump over boss monsters, and really have nothing threatening in your way, then Heroes are definitely the option. They're also really affordable, so if you're looking for a cheap deck, this is definitely one to pick up. Now, the one thing I also want to comment, this is pretty much the only one deck on this entire freaking thing that has their own version of Heavy Storm. And you're probably going, well, the deck doesn't really have a Heavy Storm. It does. It's called Acid. Mask Hero Acid. It also has App Zero, which is like a Raigeki, which you can mass change. So it gives you even better matchups. And a Shadow matchup, well, it's pretty freaking easy, needless to say. I mean, sometimes it can go back and forth like a seesaw, but most of the time it's going to be pretty freaking easy. I know some of you despise Heroes, but honestly, Heroes are not the hardest thing to take out. Just drop a Kinetic Soldier and take out that Dark Law 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I said Kinetic Soldier. Now, what I really want to just quickly mention upon with Heroes is the flexibility between the builds, the things that you can play, and the things you can get away with side decking. You can't side deck certain cards because obviously it's going to hurt you more than it will hurt your opponent, but Dark Law in itself is a walking macros cosmos, so you don't have to worry about pretty much anything that's going to be sent to the grave. So pretty much everything that would have an out will not have an out no longer. And if you combine this with Forbidden Lance, if they try to Raigeki you or Ring of Destruction, you're not going to really have an issue with your set 5 back row. And to be fair, the deck doesn't have the greatest recovery status, basically, if you get into a situation where your opponent's able to take out whatever the hell you have on your board, then sometimes it's harder to make a comeback than it is for the rest of the decks here, besides being Volcanics. For the rest of the decks to actually stage a comeback and take control of the game state again. With Heroes, it's a little bit harder to do that. Now, that may just be my experience talking. That may just be some screw-up plays, but whatever. Whatever the case is may be. But the ability to drop Castell, jump over stuff, Exciton Knights, or just the fusions, it's incredible, and it's the reason why it's our number 4 spot. Number 3 is going to go to Shaddolls. I think everyone saw this coming. Right now we have the Star of Seraph Shaddolls, you have the Firefish Shaddolls, you have pretty much any kind of Shaddolls you want to build out there. They are the most flexible deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Currently because of the way you can approach the builds. There is no limitations except for the limitations you set to build Shaddolls. Now, I could sit here and say 20 freaking years about Shadows, but let's be honest. If Dark Law is not an issue, not all the time it's going to be an issue, then your Mathematicians, your Armageddon Knights, your Star Seraph Searches, your Maxis, your Glow Up Bulbs, you have great matchups across the board because of the flexibility of being able to drop anything that your opponent, say your opponent brings out that extra deck monster, you could just drop anything from your deck and never have to give two shits about it. Construct does it too, which is hilarious. So not only being able to play BOS, Maxis, and Glow Up Bulbs all in one freaking deck, you have the Shaddoll matchup, which basically slowly and deliberately takes your opponent apart while keeping resources nice and high. So this is definitely a plus for the deck, and being a fusion deck alone, you would normally think that, hey, this may not be too hard to jump over, I could just play the fusion. Yeah, that may be true. At the end of the day, Shaddolls are still a threat, and everyone underestimated them when I first said beginning of the format. I think Shaddolls are really going to start taking over. Now, come May 15th, they're not going to have the power that they do now because I believe Kinsella Diamond is coming out. It's that or it's Stellar Knight. It's something coming out that's going to wreck their day, and it's going to suck for them, hence why they're not. In at the number 2 spot, we have Stellar Knights. Pretty much, let's be honest here, this deck pretty much plays itself. Summon Deneb, get Search, mostly of the time, Altair or Vega to Altair, grab Deneb out of the grave, make Deltaros win game, make Ouroboros win game. Hey, look, you have Star Seraphs, they require 3 monsters. Stellar Knights are pretty much your answer to that. You go Massive Plus, and you play your set 5 back row consecutively without any issues. This is the one deck that honestly I could say this format annoys the crap out of me. It's the one reason I have Royal Decree in my side deck at all times. And I don't hate the deck. I respect it. It's a lot of search power. It's a lot of freaking spamming the board when you can. And it's a lot of just the same old, same old. I'm sorry, but it's true. Now, they did take a small hit by losing Vanity's Emptiness, but it also does help them when they're going for that play. So that's also something else in mind. Now, they're not to the point that they're weak to Mind Crush, strong against Mind Crush. Whoa, retracting what I said there, because I'm thinking so fast and talking so fast. They are weak to Mind Crush. You could basically rip their hands apart one by one. If they have no monsters and you can take out their back row, Denko Seka their ass, it's going to be a GG 1, 2, 3 kind of count out, and it's going to be done. Stellar Knights are an amazing deck that shouldn't be underestimated regardless, and it's definitely one that deserves the number 2 spot, but I think it's pretty freaking obvious what's going to come in at Ryu's number 1 spot. So take a second, go to the comment section, post your top 5, post your top 10, hell, even your top 15, whatever it is. Go ahead and do it, and we're going to number 1. Number 1, plain and simple, is Necrots. I thought everyone saw this coming. It's pretty simple. It has the Jin Lock, and we don't know how the matchup against the Stellar Knights and Necrots are going to, collide come May 1st. May 15th. We don't know exactly what's going to go down with that. We don't know how much Stellar Knights will change from the next set. We don't know. They've been getting stronger, but we don't know how much further they can be pushed. Yeah, sure, they'll have a better matchup against Shaddolls, but what about against Necrots? What will they be able to do against a Jin Lock is pretty simple, easy out. That's what most of you are going to say. What happens when it comes to everything else? How are they going to deal with the situations? How are they going to change your monster lineup? You have to include all these things. Necrots are pretty much the perfection of perfection. They're Mermels. Again, like if Mermels were rituals, they have that consistency where no matter how you hit the deck's going to remain playable to a certain extent unless you just rip out all 3 freaking ritual cards and say fuck this deck. That's pretty much what it's going to come down to. Now, Necrots have every which way of freaking searching. That's their main, thing that they do. And I'm just going to quickly mention, for those of you who are waiting for the deck profile, it is coming out this month. Relax. I just try to get everything out that I've been wanting to get out, and this being one of the bigger ones. So, those are my top 5. I don't think I really have to say too much more about Necrots. I was going to say Burning Abyss, but right now Burning Abyss are such a wild card for me that I don't know how the deck's going to be molded. I don't really see Burning Abyss being top 5 anymore. I see them being more top 6 kind of thing. They're just up there, but not there enough yet. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. They kind of fallen off the face of the earth. They're still a great deck. But it's just, I don't know how the new fusion will shape them, if anyone's going to use it, or if this is going to be the Ritual 2.0. It's kind of hard to say that. So, That's why I didn't include them. I know some of you are probably gonna go, no, you gotta include them. I just don't see it. It's like Cleaforts. I just don't completely see it. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'll catch you on the next top 5, top 10 countdown, which should be coming out soon, and it's going to be the budgeted video, basically the top 10 budget decks of the format, because it's something I've been working on for quite a little bit, so almost done. Anyway, make sure to, if you're a big fan of our channel, make sure to check out the description. The Council Network went live just a few hours ago for me filming this video, which is May 1st, so we just went live, and it's going to basically be everything we can't do here. So if we try a new card game, you're going to see it there first. If we go to see a movie and we do a review on it, you can see it there first. If we want to talk about a TV show, it's only going to be there. Those kind of things. And when we go to Comic-Con, as long as we're able to get the tickets later in the month, then we will be posting the Comic-Con stuff there. Very little of that Comic-Con stuff will ever get here. It will mostly be on the Council Network. That's what the network's for. And we're still looking for council members, so if you want to join, our whole little hub of things, we have plenty of opportunities for everyone. If you're doing the gaming side stuff, the doors are open again. Finally open. Like I said, sooner or later we'd be doing the gaming channel stuff, and we're almost there. So once it's up, we're going to be looking for partners for that too. So get in early. Enough said. I'm ready for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Council. Rate, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I got a couple live streams to plan. Peace.